The Tiger tank was a legend. It was massive, heavily armored, and mounted a gun so powerful that it could penetrate almost any Allied tank from a distance at which the Allied tank could not even scratch its armor. On paper, the Tiger was invincible. In the hands of a skilled crew, it was a formidable weapon. German propaganda celebrated it as a symbol of German engineering superiority. But there was a problem. The Tiger was also a nightmare. For every hour that a Tiger tank spent in combat, it required 10 hours of maintenance. Its engine was complicated. Its transmission was fragile. Its cooling system was prone to failure. When a Tiger broke down, it could not be quickly repaired. Spare parts were scarce. The mechanics who worked on Tigers had to be highly trained. And training took time that Germany did not have. The American M4 Sherman, by contrast, was simple. It was not the most powerful tank on the battlefield. It was not the most heavily armored. But it was reliable. It could be repaired by any competent mechanic with a basic set of tools. Spare parts were standardized and interchangeable. If one Sherman broke down, another could take its place. And if a Sherman was damaged in combat, it could often be repaired and returned to service within hours. This difference in philosophy reflected a fundamental difference in how America and Germany approached warfare. Germany believed in quality. They believed in building the best possible weapon, regardless of cost or complexity. America believed in quantity and reliability. They believed in building good enough weapons in such enormous numbers that no enemy could possibly overcome them. The Sherman was designed with a specific constraint in mind. It had to fit through the cargo hatches of American transport ships. This meant that it could not be too wide or too tall. It had to be transportable across the Atlantic Ocean. This constraint forced American designers to think about simplicity and standardization. Every component had to be designed with mass production in mind. Every part had to be easy to manufacture. Every system had to be easy to maintain. The result was a tank that was not the best tank on the battlefield, but was certainly the most practical. A Sherman could be produced in a fraction of the time it took to produce a Tiger. A Sherman could be shipped across the ocean and put into service within weeks. A Sherman could be repaired by soldiers with minimal training. And when a Sherman was destroyed, another could be built to replace it within days. The Germans understood the problem. They knew that they could not match American production capacity. They knew that they could not afford to build tanks that required 10 hours of maintenance for every hour of combat. But they could not change their approach. German military culture valued precision and excellence. German engineers believed that a weapon should be as perfect as possible. The idea of building something that was merely adequate was almost offensive to them. This cultural difference extended far beyond tanks. The German rifle was more complicated than the American rifle. The German machine gun was more precisely engineered than the American machine gun. German artillery pieces were masterpieces of mechanical engineering, but they were also difficult to manufacture, difficult to maintain, and difficult to repair in the field. The American approach was different. American weapons were designed to be produced quickly and maintained easily. The American rifle was simple and reliable. The American machine gun was robust and easy to service. American artillery pieces were straightforward in their design. They were not as precisely engineered as their German counterparts, but they worked. And they could be produced in such enormous quantities that American soldiers often had multiple weapons available to them. By 1944, this difference in philosophy had become decisive. Germany was running out of resources. They could not afford to build complicated weapons that required extensive maintenance. They could not afford to lose tanks to mechanical failure. They could not afford to have mechanics sitting idle while waiting for spare parts. But their entire military-industrial complex was built around the idea of building perfect weapons. America, by contrast, was in the midst of an industrial boom. American factories were producing weapons at a rate that seemed almost unbelievable. American soldiers had access to multiple weapons. If one broke down, they could pick up another. American logistics were so efficient that spare parts were always available. American mechanics could repair almost anything with a basic set of tools. The statistics tell the story. Germany produced approximately 1,350 Tiger tanks during the entire war. The United States produced approximately 49,000 Sherman tanks. The Germans had a better tank, but the Americans had an army of tanks. And in war, quantity has a quality all its own. This principle extended to other weapons as well. The German Panzerfaust was a superior anti-tank weapon compared to the American bazooka. But the Americans produced bazookas in such enormous quantities that every American infantry squad had one. The German Panzerfaust was so scarce that only a few soldiers in each German squad could be equipped with one. The German MG-42 machine gun was arguably the finest machine gun of the war. It had a higher rate of fire than the American M1919. It was more reliable. It was better engineered, but the Americans had so many machine guns that they could afford to use them lavishly. German machine gunners had to conserve ammunition. American machine gunners could fire at will. This difference in approach had profound implications for the soldiers themselves. An American soldier who was wounded in combat could be evacuated to a hospital where he would receive the best medical care available. If he recovered, he would be sent home. An American soldier who was captured would be treated according to the Geneva Convention. An American soldier who was killed would be given a proper burial. A German soldier, by contrast, was expected to fight until he was killed or captured. If he was wounded, he might be treated, but medical resources were scarce. If he was captured, he might be treated well or he might not, depending on the circumstances. If he was killed, his body might be left on the battlefield. The American system was designed to preserve the lives of soldiers. The German system was designed to extract maximum combat effectiveness from soldiers, regardless of the cost in human lives. In the long run, the American system proved to be more effective. American soldiers were better motivated. They were better trained. They were better equipped. And they knew that if they were wounded, they would be cared for. By the end of the war, the difference in approach had become overwhelming. Germany was producing weapons that were increasingly sophisticated and increasingly difficult to manufacture. America was producing weapons that were increasingly simple and increasingly easy to manufacture. Germany was running out of resources. America was producing more resources than it could use. The Tiger tank became a symbol of German engineering, but it also became a symbol of German strategic failure. Germany had built the best tank in the world. But they could only build a few of them. America had built a tank that was not the best. But they had built so many of them that the Germans could not possibly defeat them all. In the end, quantity defeated quality. And the simple, reliable, mass-produced American tank rolled into Berlin while the last German Tigers were melted down for scrap metal.
This is one of the wars that changed the world.